In this video, we will go through a few additional components you will be using while working with the Arduino Uno board. So the additional components we're going to look at, just preview in this video, is we're going to start with this one. It's called the Piezo Element, and I have it here. So with the Piezo Element, at times is called the buzzer. So it's just like the speaker, and it just used to give out sound. So that's one of the components we're going to work with. The second component we are going to look at is this one. It's called the diode. You will come to understand what a diode is. These are real one. They normally look like that. They have a black band at the far end, and they're that small. So we'll just understand what diodes are and how they're used in real life. Another component we are going to look at is this one. It's called the photoresistor. So typically the photoresistor looks like this. This is the actual photoresistor. It just has two pins. It doesn't have polarity. Yes, the pins might not be of the same length, but it doesn't have polarity. Either side can work. We will also come to understand what a photoresistor is and how it's applied in real life. Another thing we will be looking at is the push button. As you can see, this one. So the push button is just typically a switch. It's the same as the buttons of your phone. That is if you're using a feature phone. And this is the real one. You will note that it has 4 pins, but 2 pins are always connected together. So if you use one side, it's okay. You know that it has been separated by a groove. So that groove just indicates the pin in one side are connected and the pins in the other side are connected. So if you just tap here, it will go to one side, and if you tap here, it will go to the other side. You don't have to use all the 4 pins. You just need to use 2 pins which are in the opposite side of the groove, and we will see more how it works, because it's just completing the circuit and breaking the circuit, completing the circuit, breaking the circuit. It's just a switch. So let us start. As we said earlier, we are going to let us start with the buzzer. The buzzer is just you can call it, okay, it's called a Piezo Element. It's called a Piezo Element. It's called a Piezo Element, and you can also call it a buzzer. Why do you call it a buzzer? You call it a buzzer because it gives out sound. So maybe you have a project and you want to come up with an alert or something. You connect this one to your circuit, and it will be able to give out that sound. How it's connected is very simple. It has with the buzzer, it has one side as a positive side, and it has one side as the negative side. Simple as that. So for example, you have your Arduino board. Let's say this is your Arduino board, and you have your pin 13 there. You want maybe the pin 13 to send a signal when something comes. Maybe you've connected your sensor, something there, to A0, a sensor here, and that sensor maybe is a let's call it a touch sensor. So for example, you want, if someone touches here, you want this brain to send a signal to number 13. So that number 13, it now becomes high, which means it has power. So this 13 will send power, and of course we said these pins from 0 to 13, they will always be sending positive 5 volts. So it will send volts on the positive side of your buzzer, and you have of course your GND here, GND. You will now connect this other side, the negative side, to your GND, and every time, depending on the program you put there, every time a person touches this sensor, a signal will be sent to the brain of this microprocessor of ours. So yeah, you can call it a microprocessor, and the whole thing can be called a microcontroller, the whole Arduino microcontroller, because it controls a lot of components. It receives signals and it controls it. It says what it should be done after that signal has been sent. So when a signal comes from here, from your touch sensor, it will go to the brain, which is the microprocessor. It will process and think about the code you've told it to do. You told it when it receives a code, a signal from A0, analog 0, it should make this pin have some voltage. So when the voltage comes to the buzzer, this is our buzzer. When the voltage comes to the buzzer will now make some noise. And yeah, so typically the buzzer is connected like that. You don't need to have any resistor connected to the circuit, because it has resistance by itself. So that is all about the buzzer. Can maybe put it closer for you to see it well. You'll see something there like a positive sign. So under that positive sign, when you look at the back, you'll see this. So it means this one is our positive, this one is our positive pin, and that is the pin itself. So this one will be our positive, and the other one will be our negative, and it's just written there, positive. So hope you are now conversant with the buzzer. We are now heading to our next component, and our next component is going to be the push button. We've said when you talk about the push button, just think of something that completes the circuits or breaks the circuits. And by completing and breaking the circuit, you are allowing power to move, or the current to move, or you are blocking the current to move. And we have said that underneath this push button of ours, we have a groove. So that groove separates the opposite sides. So the opposite sides, these two pins at the far end are connected. These other two pins at this other end are connected. And we've said that you don't have to use all the 4 pins. So long as you have one of the opposite pins connected, this one connected to one side and this other one connected to the other side, you will have it done, or using this other side. So I will try and draw it how it looks like internally. So let me move it closer for you to see. I think you can see you can't see the groove well. Yeah, now you can see the groove. So if you can see the groove, so internally this thing looks like this way, this way, this way. It has 4 pins: pin number 1, pin number 2, number 3, and pin number 4. So there's a groove separating. There is something like this at the back. So these pins are connected. These pins are connected this way. Internally, they're connected this way, and there's also a wire connected to this. So if you are connecting it to a circuit, for example, something that is going to have power, you have your positive 5 maybe here, let's say here we have positive 5 volts. So what you will do, you'll just have this one connected to one side, like it can be connected to there or even connected to this. So after it's connected to that side, you'll have the other side now maybe connected to your LED. Let's say this is now going to be the long side of your LED. This other side is going to be the short side of your LED, something like that. And of course, we said it's good practice to always have a resistor here. You have a resistor there. So after doing that, of course, the other one will need now to go to the ground. So this one will go to the G and D. This one will go to the G and D. So put it closer like that. So if you have it connected to like that, they can be even connected from here to here, any side, because this one and this one are connected, this one and this one are connected. So when your thing is connected like that, how it works, here in between here, we have something like this. We have, let's say, yeah, let's put something like this. Yeah, we have something like that. So that's your push button. When you press the push button, it will complete the circuit. It will complete the circuit, and when it completes the circuit, this wire and this wire will be connected, and your current will now flow. Your current will now be able to flow. The current will be able to flow and go up to the ground. So when you release it, it will now be open as it is right now. It will be open. When you release it, it will be open and no current will be flowing. And if the current is not flowing through this part, it means the LED will go off. So that's all about the push button, and that's how the push button works. And that was just the back of the push button. The top of the push button looks like that. So when you press here, you have completed the circuit. You have completed this gap. So when that gap is completed, there is current flowing and the LED is lighting. When you release it like that, no current is flowing and the LED will go off. Okay, that's all about the push button and our buzzer. Our next video, we will look at the diode, and we will also have more information on how it works, and we will have a circuit drawn for it. See you in the next video.